Hello, this is Mike with SCHOLTEN'S Equipment, and today we're going to take a look at the Kubota model lineup from 18 horsepower all the way to 60 horsepower. And behind me are a representation of a few of those models in order, and starting with the smallest to the biggest, which is the 60 horsepower. And there's a bunch of models in between, but this represents the bulk of it behind me. Let's take a look. So a couple years back, I did a similar video to this on the lineup of Kubota, explaining Kubota's lineup. And it was a very popular video, not because of production quality, but because of content. And people are looking for this content because Kubota's model numbers are not, they're somewhat confusing. And people are looking to get an understanding of what size is which compared to this other model. And it's the best way to do it is to line them up like we did and kind of walk through them, which each one will do, their capabilities, and their little brother, their big brother tractors. And that's what we're doing here. And we're going to start with the B series from Kubota. B is the smallest, and they break it into two categories, the BX and the B01. So this is like a true B series, and what Kubota does when they have a smaller tractor than, say, the B series, they call it the BX. They add an X behind it. They do that similar down the line here, you'll see. But the BX, the first tractor Kubota ever came with was the L, and then they came with the B in the 70s. And then in the early 2000s, they introduced a model right here. It's a subcompact tractor. They're the first ones to ever make it, and they called it the BX because it was slightly smaller than a B series, but they still wanted to keep it in the B family. They just added an X to it, and it's the BX. And it comes in three models. You got the 18, the 23, and the 26 horsepower. You might compare this. This is a similar size tractor to like the John Deere 1 series. John Deere offers two models in this series. Kubota offers three. They got an 18, 23, and 26. And Kubota has actually a 26 horsepower, which is at least 2 horsepower bigger than any other competitor in its class. And that sets Kubota apart from the competition on the BX series. They all will still lift the same weight though. They all still have the same loader, the 18, the 23, and the 26. When people come into our showroom, our dealerships, there's three things primarily that guide people to a purchase of a tractor. And one of them is horsepower. They want a certain horsepower, they need a certain horsepower, and that's kind of what guides them to a certain model, because some models will do what some other models won't. Size, one thing. I mean, horsepower is one thing. Size is the next thing. Some people will come into our dealerships and they'll see, say, this tractor and say, well, that's too big. This is the size I want. It's strictly a perception that they have on what size tractor maybe will fit in even their garage. And some people might say this is a small tractor, but the other people might say it's a big one. That's why we're doing this lineup here, to show people what the different sizes look like compared to each other. And the third thing is lift capacity. Lift capacity can guide, I would say over half of the purchases somehow are guided by lift capacity. And when I'm talking lift capacity, I'm talking about the front loader. Each tractor has a different front loader here, and they all lift different weights. And if you need to lift something and it's 1,000 pounds, well, this tractor is not gonna lift over 1,000 pounds full to the top. And so that kind of eliminates some models. So this tractor is the BX 2680. It is equipped with the LA 344 loader, and it will lift not 344 pounds. You take that number, you multiply it by 2.2, and you get your lift height, which is approximately 750 pounds measured to the pin. Those are approximate numbers. So that's a rule of thumb. So if someone comes into our dealership, they like the size, they like the horsepower, but they're like, man, I need to lift 1,000 pounds or close to it. Well, this tractor right here is the B series from Kubota. It's the B2601, and it has the LA 435 loader. Take that times 2.2, you get close to 1,000 pounds on the lift capacity. And this tractor comes in two models. It comes in, and they're physically the same models, the 23 or the 26 horsepower. This one is actually the 26 sitting here, but the 23 horsepower, if you parked them side by side and didn't look at the hood, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference. It's all what's under the hood that differentiates those two models. And with the B series compared to the BX series, you not just get a bigger tractor physically and a better lift capacity, you get a different transmission essentially. They're both hydrostat transmissions between the BX and the B series, but the B series has a 3-range hydrostat, so you get a low, medium, and high, which is, on this size tractor, competitively speaking, no one else has a 3-range hydrostat in this size range that I know of. So this is the B series from Kubota. You got the B01 and the BX, the smaller little brother to the B series. They're both in that, you know, they got 18, 23, 26. This has got 23, 26 horsepower. And the next size up is the beginning of the L series. It's the LX series, and it comes in a 26 or a 33 horsepower tractor. And well, you got people coming into our dealership, like you say, they look at this tractor and they'll say, oh, that's the right size. Or, you know, they'll say this is the right size. You got the people that physically look at something and they know the size. You got the horsepower requirements. These are primarily the same horsepower, very close horsepower wise. So there's not much differentiating these two horsepower wise. And then you got the lifters, the people that want to lift something. And that's where these two tractors, the B01 and the LX, differentiate a little bit. You got a 435 loader on the B01 and you got the 535 loader. You take that times 2.2, you're over 1,000 pound lift capacity now. And when I say over 1,000 pounds, Kubota measures it and all the other manufacturers measure it right from the pin. If you would tie a chain right here, lift all the way to the top, that's what your lift capacity is. It's a to the top lift capacity. So this tractor will lift more straight off the ground. So like I said, the LX is the start of the L series family. And right next to me here is the beginning of the standard L family. It's the L02 series. It's a new series from Kubota, and it comes in a 25, a 33, and a 39. This is actually the 3902. Physically, if you park them all side by side and you're just looking straight on, it's very hard to tell the difference. Size-wise, there is no difference, but there's a couple features. You can see hoods, throttles and whatnot, that you can see that there's a little different between them, but physical size is the same, and all the loaders are the same between the 25, the 33, and the 39. They have the same loader lift capacity, just different PTO horsepower. So you got someone that comes in our dealership, they're looking at a specific size. Yeah, this might fit their needs on a physical size, what they're looking at. PTO horsepower, this is where you start to get some separation here between like the 25 area. You got up to 39 horsepower available at the engine on the 3902. You start getting some people that they want a little more horsepower. This is a good tractor for them. Lift capacity wise, this is where it gets really tricky, and you get some overlap here from here on out on lift capacities a little bit. This is a 526 loader. This is a 535 loader. If you took my equation earlier of 2.2 and you multiply it by these two, this one technically lifts more. And that's true, but this one lifts at about a foot higher. So really theoretical lift capacity, this one can lift more because it can lift it higher. So you got a higher lift capacity in that regard. This one just doesn't lift it as high, but technically has a higher rating. So take that into consideration. It's accurate, but this one, if you want to lift a little higher, this is going to do it, and it's going to do more weight higher. So on the LX and the L series, there's some differences. This is a heavier tractor. The L02 series is a heavier tractor. The LX series is a little lighter frame tractor. Very similar horsepower. You can go to 33 horsepower on this. You can go up to 39 on this. The transmissions, both 3-range hydrostat transmissions. Ergonomically, between the LX and the L02 series, there's some differences. You got a little more of a flatter floor, not quite 100% flat floor design on the LX. The L02 series has a hump in the floor. It's not big, it's just a little hump. It's ergonomically not as nice as the LX series. And then also the integrated loader valve on the LX series is really nice. You can get on and off from each side of the tractor relatively easy. The L02 series has the loader valve mounted with the tractor, so it makes it really hard to get on and off on this side. It's actually, I probably just wouldn't do it. There's a little advantage between the LX and the L02 series. And then there's a lot more little details that this video is more of a broad video. I'm just showing you the size and base features that separate some of the LXs from the O2s. And we're gonna move on up to the next L. The L series is one of the biggest ranges from Kubota, like model-wise. You got from 26 horsepower all the way to 60 on the L series. Let's go on. So here we got, like I said, the L02 series, and I'm going to show you right now is the Grand L60 series, the start of it. It's the 3560. And this one has a backhoe on it because it's sold, and it's really hard to get these tractors right now. So before this is delivered tomorrow, we put it in the lineup because it's the only one we got that's set up right now. And I'm just going to show you the differences. Physically, you can definitely tell there's a big jump in physical size here. So the people that come in our dealership that look at a physical tractor, a good chunk of them will say this is too big. It just doesn't fit what they were thinking they were going to buy, but that's fine. There's a lot of people that like this size too. The second thing is this is a 35 horsepower. That's where the Grandels start, and they work their way up all the way to 60. The bigger Grandels are physically slightly bigger, then the people that are looking at loader lift capacity, this is going to be a 526 loader. Like I said before, this jumps up to an 805 loader. So very similar horsepowers here, but this one will lift a lot more weight, and that can kind of lean some people in this direction if they want to pick up bigger, heavier bales. Maybe the 805 loader will lift heavier stuff, and it will lift it higher. So people might say, why make the O2 in the Grand? Well, there's a difference between a premium, it's got all the features they could think of, they put it on this tractor, and this is the base tractor. It's still got hydrostatic transmission, but they take away a lot of the stuff that some people just don't want or need, and that's what this tractor's for. It's a base hydrostatic tractor that has a loader, and took away some of the frills, so to speak, to keep the price point down. And the Grandel has a fancier transmission. Still a 3-range hydrostat, but it's the HST Plus transmission. You start seeing this transmission in the Grandels. It's a quieter transmission. It's got more features. It's got stall guard, auto throttle. If you want to find out more about some of those features, I recommend you go to the local dealer, come to us, take a peek at them, and you can see those features firsthand. But this is more of a broad video. We're just kind of covering the broad things, and let's move on to the L4701 or 2. So next up here, we're going to kind of backtrack a little bit on the feature wise. We're going to the L4701, which is actually being replaced by the 4702. We just don't have one yet. It's very similar though to this, but it's an 01, 02 series tractor, so it's more of an economy tractor. Still has a hydrostatic transmission. It's 47 horsepower, engine rated, and then you go backwards a little bit on loader lift compared to the Grandel, but it's at a more attractive price. The 01, 02 is priced a little more competitively because you don't get some of the features you get on the Grandel, but it's kind of stuck in between. You got the L3560, which is sitting here, and then you got a 4060, a 4760, and the 4701 kind of falls in that, and then you got the 5460 and the 60 after that. Again, very similar size tractors, just less features, and it's a really advantage. Kubota has a lot of models. So if you're kind of on the fence in a weird spot where you don't want one and want the other, Kubota's got a model for you. They really do. A lot of other manufacturers don't have as many models. They don't have as many choice to really hone in on what you're looking for. So last but not least, we got the MX series. So we just talked about the L's, the LXs, the B's, the BX. Well, Kubota makes an M series, and this is the MX. It's a small version of an M series. It still has a hydrostatic transmission. It's still more of an economy model. It doesn't have some of the features, say, the Grandel has a couple of tractors over, but it has the big ones that people are looking for when they're looking at this tractor. It has big lift capacity. It has a 1065 loader. Take that times 2.2. You get over 2,000 pound lift capacity to lift the bales. It has a big front axle, has big front tires, still has a hydrostatic transmission. It is technically the biggest tractor you can get from Kubota with a hydrostatic transmission, one of them. It's the MX 6000, or you can do the L6060 Grandel. They both have about 60 horsepower, and they both have hydrostats. And so if someone's calling in and they're wanting a hydrostatic tractor and want 80 horsepower, Kubota don't offer it, and actually no one does. 60 horsepower is about the limit in the industry you see with a hydrostatic transmission, and that could grow in the future, but this tractor might seem a little used to you because it is. They're hard to get. MX tractors MX series in general are hard to get. They make a 5400 and a 6000, and they're very popular because they do the big thing that a lot of people come in our dealership, they say they need to lift a wet round bale. Well, that's about over 2,000 pounds. So your only two options are the Grandel, the bigger Grandel series that have the 1055 loader on them, or the MX series that has the 1065 loader. And that's why this is so popular, because just to give you an idea, the L6060 Grandel that I don't have in this lineup that's similar to the 3560 is about $9,000 more than this tractor. But they technically do the same thing. This just has a few less features, a little different transmission. They're still both hydrostats, but it does the base things that people are looking for when they're looking at a 60 horsepower tractor. It has 60 horsepower, and it can lift over 2,000 pounds, and it has a hydrostat. So if you're not sure what size is right for you, I encourage you to come check out all these tractors in person at either one of our locations in Linden or Burlington. Or if you can't make it down, check us out online at SCHOLTEN'Sequipment.com, where everything you see here is pictured in price, including the used one over there. And also, don't forget to check out our new merchandise. We got some new spring stuff in stock, and you can buy it on SCHOLTEN'Sequipment.com. See you next time. I hope you found this video helpful. Thanks.